Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? I'm Tom Consalvo, Chief Technology Officer for Stony Brook Medicine. So my slides were designed really not to be slides, but to be more of a show and tell. Except I couldn't bring the technology in here. So some of the technology you're going to see in these slides, you'll find out in the registration area. So feel free after this to just go and take a look at it, kick the tires. Don't kick the technology, but play around with it. Okay. So for us, telemedicine's been a journey on the technology side. It's definitely not one size fits all. The technology in general, the cameras and all the back-end codecs and all the equipment that makes all this work is becoming standardized. So that's the good thing. We don't have to kind of chase our tails with that. But my team has been tasked with making sure the infrastructure and everything that it's layered upon is actually working. So for example, and we didn't do this for telemedicine, this was done specifically for other projects, which I'll explain. So wireless, our wireless technology throughout the entire institution is, well, I can't say it's 802.11 AC yet, but we're working towards that, and in a few months, every building will have 802.11 AC. And that is the fastest wireless speed you can go. It's also self-healing technology, so if one access point goes out, connectivity continues. So we've done this and we've designed this primarily around patient care carts. The nurses use medication carts, the physicians use rounding carts, and if an access point goes out, we don't want them to be dead in the water. That's a bad term to use for hospital and patients, but we don't want them to just stop working. So the technology is expensive that we deploy, but there's a reason we do it, and we do it because we want to keep the communications flowing. And for this, for Tele-Stroke and telehealth and telemedicine, it's perfect fit. So that's number one. Number two, another technology that we've just had was Office 365 Enterprise, which includes Skype for Business. That just happens to be, now the business happens to be encrypted end to end. So we've started to use this for scaled down versions of telehealth. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on in my slides. And again, I mentioned for business because if you go home and you use Skype, it's not encrypted, it's not secure. So just be careful. And one of our biggest concerns, more than what type of technology is being used and how everything's being communicated, is security and following HIPAA compliance. There are things, and we're dealing with this right now with end-to-end communications. It's so easy to create a generic account and have a clinician on each side get on the system without having to sign on and save them time, which is a great thing, but then there's no audit trail. So we have to make sure while we're building this technology, we're building in security. So this is where, these are all the devices you're going to see here now are out in the lobby. We kind of started for IT. This was the beginning of our telemedicine journey, was when language translation came up to us and asked us to help set up these Marty carts. And I think Marty is just the name of the company, and we may be in the middle of transitioning. But these carts help with language translation. But if you think about it, there's a patient on one end who can't speak English, and there's a translator on the other end. So we had to make sure that those communications flowed, that they were clear and accurate, and thank goodness our infrastructure was built for that. So that was kind of step one. And then that kind of morphed into this, which is, it's just a Samsung View tablet. And I'm lucky enough, and I think I see them in the back, Nick and Jonathan. I'm lucky enough to, and there's more behind them too that help, but I have to thank them because they will build anything we need built in the time frame we give them. And those two gentlemen back there helped design and build this, and basically all it is a Samsung. It's one of the largest tablets on the market, not made anymore, but we went and bought as many as we could because they were great technology for this use. And put them on carts and used the wireless technology, and now it's being used for more than just language translation, but it's also being used for Netflix for the patients. And then what we're doing right now, specifically around pediatrics, is we've taken an iPad, and again, we're using the Skype for Business, secure communications. And again, I keep going to Skype because that's really the only platform we have right now that's secure. As our journey continues and we pick vendors, we're going to get more standardized in the technology we use, integrated into the EMR. But right now, it's just for communications to flow, clinical communications to flow, and you can see some use cases I put here. It's doctor to patient, it's doctor to doctor, Southampton to Stony Brook. Sometimes it's within Stony Brook. They just can't get down to the ED and they're working in the HSC. So we've created these carts, and we do have one of these carts out there, right guys? Okay. So we have one of these carts out there, and we've set up a little demo if you want to go take a look at it. It's actually a live demo with a dummy patient. And then what you're seeing on the screen here is, if you go through the hospital, you'll see these Rubbermaid carts, and they are being used, as I said earlier, for medication administration. They're also being used for rounding. And it's easy to tell the difference because the ones with the drawers are medication, the ones without are for rounding for the physicians. But these very same carts are being designed for telemedicine. So as we go through our journey and as we pick a vendor, again, the hardware can be kind of agnostic, but there's a lot of vendors now in this space. But this is one that we found that is really great, and they just bolt all the technology, all the scopes, everything onto one cart, and you have everything in one place that could go for 12, maybe 18 hours without a charge. Am I right, Nick? 12, 18 hours? He's probably laughing. But how long do the carts go without a charge? 12 hours? 18? 10, 12, okay. So this also will help, and as we go through our journey, these will be some of the carts you may see on the floors.